Welcome back to the X Podcast. Here we are. You may recognize this crew, the Fearsome Four. We have Zachary Brown, Jesse James McCoy, laughing his head off.
Yeah.
And Mr. Tim Moore. So
And Russell Moore.
And Russell
John Moore.
Russell Moore. The last time you saw the Four Horsemen, they were not riding in on the apocalypse, but they were riding in on some hot takes.
Okay.
We're bringing it back.
Yeah. I just want to know, if we
Back
were
in
the
black.
Four Horsemen, which one
Yeah,
would each
who
of
are
us
you?
be?
Ric Flair, styling and profiling. Woo! I am the nature boy.
That was amazing. Oh.
Limo riding.
Limo riding. What is the rest of it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Private jet flying.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Actually, it was Arn. Who were the Four? Arn Anderson, Double A. Arn Anderson.
I don't know. I was born
Wait.
like
The Four
20 years
Horsemen were
after.
actual wrestlers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a group.
It was a faction in wrestling.
Okay.
Yep. Which
I
apparently
was literally thinking when you said that, I was like, oh, he wants us to pick one from Revelation 6. There's which one did
you're
one?
the
One
pale horse,
conquest,
the pale
one
horse.
did disease, one I'm like, I don't know.
Actually, speaking of wrestling, Zachary, give us the news about the renovation, the new explosion of
This has been crazy. The Rock is back.
popularity of wrestling.
I know, I don't
Well, but
understand
only sort
it.
of. The Rock's back.
I don't understand
Yeah,
it.
He's kind of back.
Why
in
would
the
it come
genre.
Jesse's
back?
probably a better person to ask. But I just,
Both of you watched WrestleMania,
yep.
Oh, yeah.
Parts of
and
it.
y'all told me to, and I went and found it, and I did fast forward to The Rock's moment.
Yeah.
Then you fast forward
Well,
all
which
the
night? 'Cause
all of the wrestling matches, and you just
WrestleMania is a 2-night thing. So
Yeah.
which Rock moment?
Whoa.
Yes.
I didn't even know this.
wait. Yeah.
There's multiple moments.
Well, first off,
Dude.
I feel like when I think of wrestling, I think of that verse that says that when you no, I was thinking
folly exercise, profit
when
little.
I was young, I did childish things, but when I grew older, I put away childish
okay.
things.
Oh.
For some reason,
You know.
that just verse comes to my mind when I think about wrestling.
Okay.
For some reason, I just
Hey, my inner child is still alive.
okay.
I was going to say,
I love
are
it.
you attacking the video games?
Why?
Oh, I got a video game hot take ready.
Oh.
Hey.
Oh, let's go.
I don't
go.
attack them. I played video games when I was younger too.
Would you like?
Listen, first off, when it comes to wrestling,
Yeah.
Pastor Tim, here's
You do
wrestling's
lose.
real. Okay, number one.
Gotcha.
Number
I
two,
would not want to be suplexed. It does not look comfortable.
Hey, so you know it.
Oh yeah,
Suplexed.
I watched
About
wrestling.
Diamond Dallas Page, DDP. Okay,
Hey,
let's go.
I watched
roll it.
I watched a
Let me
little
ask-
bit of wrestling. It was probably in the late '80s, '90s when was about then when Hulk Hogan would have been popular.
Hulkamania.
Like when Hulk Hogan, and then I remember when Andre the Giant was wrestling. Like I remember kind of that era a little bit. I didn't really watch it, but I saw it enough. I knew
Macho Man.
Macho
Randy
Man Randy Savage. Sorry. I said
You were saying
Rancho
the
Mancho.
raunchy man?
Rancho Man.
Macho Man.
I remember the British, the
Jim,
Bulldog.
brother.
Jim, the British Bulldog.
Yeah.
Is that British Bulldog? And then the dude with the board that was like a hillbilly. They always carried around the 2x4.
Oh,
What
Oh
was
my
that? This is
gosh.
old wrestling. This is the
I know.
original.
This is WCW.
WWF.
no, this is WCW.
Huh?
What-
No. WWF. This was before WWE or WCW.
WCW wasn't a thing.
WCW is
That's
way
Woman
newer.
Crush Wednesday. That's what that.
Whoa.
No, it was World Championship Wrestling. That literally.
Yeah,
what-
but
the era
WWF
group,
was
it was
earlier.
WCW. That was
In the 80s?
No.
This
80s was
was like-
WWF,
The 70s.
and they switched to WWE in the mid-late 90s.
No,
WCW is a different promotion. separate from
WCW is what it was probably like
everyone
90,
has shut this off already.
I know. Sorry. Well, we're gonna get to
Yeah,
the real
let's
thing
get
in a
to
minute.
hot takes.
97 to 99, 2000. Like that's where Hulkamania, Sting, Lex Luger, Macho Man Randy Savage.
Oh, I guess you're right.
All that
Yeah,
was WCW.
yeah, I forgot
and then
about this.
NWO came. They were the heels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then WWF got bigger.
I
Right.
kind of
So-
went NWO and all that stuff. I was kind of out. That
Bro-
was kind of like, I'm done with this. I'm
When
bored.
Hogan had
Broken
weird,
Glass
dyed
intro
beard.
or the Bell intro. Which
Didn't
one
Hogan
strikes
become bad?
Fear into your
At
heart
one
more?
point?
Broken Glass.
Yeah,
Who
at
was
that
that?
point, I'm done.
I don't remember.
Broken Glass intro or the Bell intro?
Wait.
The Bell of Taker?
Yeah.
Dong. The big
one's
Undertaker.
worse? Which one
I remember the
incites
Undertaker.
fear
Well, referencing, let's circle this. Let's complete the circle.
I think
back
we,
to WrestleMania.
I think we lost.
Okay.
The gong.
I think we
That's
lost
way better.
80%
Undertaker.
or 90%.
Listen, we
of
just have
anybody
we have a reunion around the
Hopefully you
Carlson
hit fast
table,
forward.
so we're having some fun.
Hopefully you hit 30-second fast forward on your podcast.
All right, listen, it's Hot Takes podcast. It's not going to get super deep, anyways. I mean, maybe it'll get spicy at the end. We are missing what we said we would have at this table, which is Dave's hot chicken,
We need to do it next
which
time.
you said is overrated.
I was
Okay.
gonna say let's
Well-
start right off the bat.
Yeah.
hype.
Well, if that's your hot take,
Overrated.
then it won't matter.
Yep.
None,
Listen,
of, none of the
if-
rest
You
of them.
can't-
None
you
of the
can't
rest of them are
just dismiss
valid.
it. No,
I
no,
can
no,
dismiss it.
No, you can't.
Yeah, I can.
Because I have reasons why it's overrated.
I don't care.
The sauce is
They
overrated.
don't matter.
Yeah. If Zach
There are
Brown
some
gives
people
you-
that just don't matter when they say things like that, and
Okay, yeah.
your hot takes
Yeah,
don't matter.
like when people say Michael Jordan's the GOAT, that's
Oh,
those,
But we already know that's
Yeah,
true.
history backs
So,
that up.
Yeah,
no,
Yeah.
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
No.
no,
Yeah.
no, it doesn't.
yeah.
No, it doesn't.
It is
You know-
interesting that the two people here that don't like Dave's hot chicken also are delusional to think that LeBron's the GOAT.
That is wait, you
I mean,
don't like Dave's hot chicken?
No, he doesn't like it at all.
No, it's not.
He says it's completely overrated. He
I'm
said it
not
was
saying it
worse than
wasn't good.
chicken
I'm
he's
just
ever
saying it
had.
was
That's not
And he
what
said
I
he'd
said.
rather go to
Overhyped.
Cane's.
That is what I said. Cane's is definitely better.
I would pick Chick-fil-A.
Cane's is not better,
Cane's
but the
is
sauce
the best
is
chicken
good.
of
Okay,
anything.
but
No,
you
no,
always
no,
bring
no.
something that's like apples and
The
oranges.
chicken
into
is comparable. The
comparisons.
sauce is
Like,
good.
that's very different. I mean,
The
Chick-fil-A
chicken
is
tastes
awesome.
half the
I have
time it's
no,
all
like-
breading and there's no chicken. They're like the pieces are this.
We're
We're
each
over
having
having
our
a
own
conversation. Hey, Lydia, we need to split our conversation to the left channel and theirs to the right channel for anybody that wants to
And then
follow.
you just take out that headphone.
All right, we need to stop that.
All right. So ground rules again, or we'll just set up. You know, we usually go light hot takes and then heavy hot takes. So we start with
What if they're all
the
light?
things that will not cause heresy or tears or division.
Okay.
And then we go on to the things that will.
Too late for division.
That's
We're
true.
already divided. This is a divided table.
That's true, Mister. I hate food.
Yeah.
Fred over here.
Yep.
Is just
No, it's actually more like I hate Dave.
yeah.
He hates
yeah.
Dave.
I do. Dave is the worst.
Yeah.
Dave
all
hates
right.
you.
Yeah. Let's transition from Dave
Someone
Destroyer.
listening named Dave. I'm not talking about you.
Yeah. And you also hate Wendy's, Dave Thomas.
Yep.
I love Wendy's.
All right.
Love Wendy, hate Dave.
Let's start with seniority.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay. I don't remember if I did this one last time. I don't think I did.
go
But
for it. Just go for it.
in the spirit of graduation season, I think that if kids don't know what they want for a career, they should not go to college right out of high school. Is that bad of a hot take, though?
No, I agree with you.
You agree?
Yeah.
I wonder if that's changing because I
Yeah.
think that there was maybe 10 years ago, and I literally thought this years and years ago, and I feel like if I would have told that to parents, they would have been like, don't tell my kid that.
I feel like the hot take would be if you graduate high school, you should be forced to take a leap year. Like, you don't have the option. You have to take a leap year.
I don't know that I agree with that, though, because if you know and maybe have even gone to, like I said, my daughters both did a certain amount of college courses. I think if you know the track you want to go in, I don't think you should be required to take a leap year. But I think a lot of students don't know.
See, I could argue with you on that.
You could.
Because
Is this
feel
your
like-
hot take?
no, but I'm making
Well-
one from your hot take. I
Jumping off his fire.
I feel like I knew what I wanted to do whenever I went off to college, and I ended up.
Which
changing-
college?
That's what I'm saying. I ended
Okay,
up
so this
transferring
seems
multiple
very
times.
personal. I'm trying not to make it personal. I didn't go to college. I took one class and went the fall right after I graduated high school and hated it and dropped out. So I understand this, and that's part of why I probably have that take. But I also know there are people that feel like they know where they want to go and what they want to do, and they have gone to school and have done it. My wife did it. My daughter did it and finished their degrees. And so
Yeah.
I don't want to impose, which I feel like you're trying to do, your own personal experience
Why are you being so intrusive?
on the world. But
I think there's a lot of.
so Zach thinks that every kid should be forced 1 year
No, no, no.
pause
No, no, no,
between
I'm
high
not
school
saying-
and
You try to
college.
I'm
come
not
into a
saying I
college,
think
you'll be
that-
shot.
You just said that.
No, I made a hot take.
Okay.
I said the more probably.
I think you're
hot
supposed to
take
believe
version.
your own hot takes.
Yeah.
Hey guys, listen. Okay, first off,
I would actually say that I'm in the majority.
But you agree. But so most of you guys probably agree. So it's not really that big of a hot take.
I was going to say the exact same number. I think 10 years ago exactly, that would have been very controversial.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is where you're going with it, but the fear would have been, oh, you take 1 year, you're never going to go back. You're going to end up just never stepping into your potential the rest of your life. And honestly, there may have been some truth to that 10 to 15 years ago, the way the world was set up. It was almost like this system of, unless you went into a specific specialty field, if you were somebody who was already like really under ambitious, and then you just kind of just decided to float for a year in life, there are people that probably wasn't good for them.
Yeah.
But I just think everything's changed now.
Yeah. I think there's a bigger conversation happening just because of the college debt. You're also seeing a change now where trades are becoming kind of like some of the higher paying jobs that are out there.
Yeah.
And I think some of that was my experience. I didn't go to school. I didn't really seriously go to school right out of high school. And I did more of the work route and got married. And then when I wanted to pursue a career, I did. But I loved school then. I excelled in school. I wanted to be there because I wanted to learn. And I was sitting in classes with 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds that were straight out of high school that mom and dad were making them go to college and paying for it. They were not learning a thing. They did not care about it. It was a waste of time to them. And I'm sitting there going, by the way, when you're an adult, and as I was, and paying for my own college, you're not only, I had a kid, like you're not home, worked a full-time job, now you're at class all evening long, and you're paying for it, you appreciate it.
Yep.
And so I feel like I appreciated my education, and it gave me a different perspective than as I was sitting with 18, 19-year-olds that were like, they didn't know what they wanted to do. They hated going to school. Mom and dad were paying for it and said you had to go to college.
But you also brought up, to kind of like argue both of your points, you brought up something I think is the other factor. I think it's really influential in that decision, what you've been doing and who you've been becoming up until that moment.
Yeah.
So it's not like, I think there's a huge difference between somebody who already has a lack of drive, lack of ambition, has a lack of discipline, has a lack of work ethic. They've been floating through school.
Yep.
They've not been working, and then I'm going to take a year off. Big difference between that and somebody who's been working almost their entire life, very disciplined, very driven, loves to learn, very intelligent, and decides, no, I'm going to intentionally take a year off.
Yeah.
I think those go different directions.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's just a small one.
Yeah. So a small one for me. I've got quite a few small ones.
I can't wait.
So I could rattle.
Yours are always so good.
He does have good ones.
My first one, I think you might be the only one that disagrees. Avocado, everything is overrated. Anything related to avocados is just terrible.
Wait, so you think everything?
Anything related?
I'm going to disagree with you on
Yeah,
that.
guacamole is really good.
Bring it. Wrong.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
No, guacamole is amazing.
No, it's baby food.
I actually disagree with you on this,
Yeah,
believe it or
I
not. And I've never been an
That's
avocado
actually
person.
surprising.
It's surprising. I disagree with you.
I kind of
Dude,
expected this whole
one of
table
the-
to turn against
one of the
me
best-
to die inside
Hey,
again.
one of the best sandwiches I ever had. My daughter and I loved it when we were on this trip to Cali. We were at this hotel, and they had a roasted turkey sandwich that had avocado, bacon, lettuce,
sounds
tomato.
So good.
I forget, and it was, the bread was some, again, I would never order this, like a multi-grain something bread, but the way it was buttered and grilled, and then we put like ranch on it was literally one of the best sandwiches I've ever had in my life with avocado on it. And I don't intentionally go order out of the way avocado except for guacamole. I like that, and I like avocado sauces. I found out like avocado.
so
I don't
good.
know why. Like on Mexican steak, something.
Yep.
I love
So
avocado
good.
sauces.
Yep.
Love it.
Yep.
It's got a good flavor.
So
Jesse, this may not surprise
you are the hot take.
I eat avocado every single day of my life.
That's not surprising.
Every
and I
single
feel
day.
so
Yeah.
terrible for you.
Yeah.
See, I could go weeks
It
without
makes my life elevate.
Yeah,
Oh,
I could.
It's-
do a
I
couple
don't.
of
It
lifetimes
doesn't.
without
I
it.
mean, but I won't avoid
what?
it.
I could do some lifetimes without it.
oh,
Probably eternity. I don't think they have that in heaven. You didn't talk about that.
Avocados in heaven.
Yeah.
I don't know
I don't
about
think
that.
they're there.
Oh,
this is a good time for you to go on to your next one.
Also, this is
Yeah.
that reminds me of a different one. A BLT is not a sandwich.
I mean,
I didn't even write this down.
No,
a
no, no,
BLT
no.
is what you put on a sandwich.
Well,
No.
Is that
a
because-
sandwich is between two pieces of bread? So therefore,
Yeah.
by definition, it's a
a
sandwich.
BLT
Wait.
is what you would put like on a burger.
So do you
Like,
not
if you
do you not
just-
consider bacon meat?
No, it's a meat topping.
You know what? As
It's
much
not
as
a-
like,
it's not the part of the sandwich.
as much
right?
as I don't want to feed into the person who just gave the delusion about avocado, I actually definitionally don't agree with you, but principally agree with you because
Yeah. I'm in the same boat actually.
because like I've never understood why somebody would just order
Thank you.
something without all of the main ingredients.
Exactly. It's a sandwich without the main part of the
I
sandwich.
actually agree with you guys, but I know my daughter loves a BLT and would order one. My wife likes it and makes them at home, and
They're
like she
so
would.
good.
I
Tell her she loves that.
I with you. I think the way
Try it
you
on
the
something.
way you said it, the way you said it is what I would agree with, which is by definition I would disagree, but in principle
Because it's
I
between
would
bread.
I
Yeah.
would agree. It's like there's a bunch of things on the menu I would never see BLT and go, maybe I want that.
Yeah, I'll take a lettuce sandwich.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That'd be
that's kind of
great.
what it feels
I'll
like.
take half a sandwich.
Yeah, that's like, you know what my parents do? This is probably a Southern thing, but when you ask my mom, she's like, there is nothing better than in the summer.
Fried
when-
green tomato.
Well, no. Well, it's, I mean, they probably love that too, but they'll do a sandwich, white bread with Duke's mayonnaise and fresh tomatoes from the garden. It's a tomato
See,
mayonnaise sandwich.
My wife would probably agree. I think she has made and may make just lettuce, tomato, mayonnaise, toasted bread sandwich.
Yeah.
And likes it.
Yeah.
That's even worse than a BLT.
understand.
See, I can understand the argument that BLT would say, hey, that's bacon. I mean, what's the difference between having ham on your sandwich and having bacon? I mean, I can understand somebody making an argument there is a meat product on there.
Yeah, but like,
But most of us
Bacon's
think
an
about,
additive
I
meat.
add bacon to my burger.
Right.
Yes.
Or I add bacon to my steak.
Yeah.
yeah.
That sounds good.
Bacon to steak.
You've never had a
good.
filet wrapped
Bacon wrapped filet.
medallion wrapped
Oh,
in bacon?
other
Bacon
hot
wrapped
take.
stuffed shrimp too.
Listen, other hot take. If you go to a steakhouse and order a well done steak, you should
Ooh.
be kicked out
Oh,
immediately.
I agree.
I agree with that. 100%.
I agree.
Out. Anything above medium, and medium's even like
Yeah.
I think
No, what I
I don't.
thought I would
I don't
agree
mind
with you.
medium if it's cooked right.
No, medium rare.
No.
medium rare is where
I
it's
don't
at.
love medium rare.
Jesse, you know what? This almost redeems the avocado thing. This really does. I agree.
I agree.
I think it should not ever be above medium rare.
Yeah.
Medium, that's your last. This is
Yeah.
your last.
Medium is like
And I won't
if
look
you're
at you
like
in
a
a haughty
10-year-old and you're new to steak, you can get a medium.
Yeah.
It's
You
fine.
you want to look at me in a hot way?
And hottie. Like a
What? Just
judgmental way.
oh.
what? In a
haughty way?
I
in a hot
think.
way?
I think medium well, and it might be you got 1 foot out the door.
Yeah. You have to sit outside on the
Yeah,
patio.
yeah,
Medium
yeah,
well. You got to sit
yeah.
outside.
Or you have to
Okay.
wear a dunce hat while you
Well,
eat it.
I think that's fair.
Yes.
Or if it's well done, you have to wear a special cap the whole time you eat
I'm a
there.
child. I can't.
Like you have to wear a special cap.
Yes.
That's the only way you get your steak well done.
Yes. Yes.
You know, I kind of agree with that one.
Okay, and then I got one more light one. I actually have a few more, but we'll do one more for now. Okay, you know how everybody freaks out about McDonald's fountain drinks? Like, they're
Yes,
so
my
much better.
wife and daughter
Actually, please
both
explain
do.
this to me.
Wrong.
They do.
Everyone.
Rebecca does as well.
Oh yeah, Sprite.
Everyone. It must be a wife
and
thing.
Coke.
'cause
I
they're-
actually read that-
McDonald's Coke is so much.
Uh-huh.
No, it's not. It's the same thing.
No, I actually
No,
read
the
that there is something
carbonation's
different.
higher.
Yes.
Whatever.
The carbonation
No.
level
It is.
higher.
No.
Yes, it is. Because it feels like it's burning your
Anybody
throat.
that says I can taste
And
the
I love that
difference
feeling.
is lying. There's no way.
No, the
I don't think so.
The carbonation
No way.
is
I
higher.
don't ever go to McDonald's or drink it, and even if they do, I'm not going to get one.
it
But
up.
they have literally said over and over.
Well, I know they say it.
Okay, here's where I'm going to disagree with you about they wouldn't be able to know. I'll tell you why. This is my add-on to this. I do not like drinking soda out of a can at all. I want it over ice, and it does change it. When you drink it, not maybe the flavor, but when you drink something straight out of the can, it tastes or feels different. There's something about the ice that neutralizes, I think, a little bit of the carbonation, which I don't love.
I actually think I prefer drinking out of a can more.
Yeah, I actually, if it's
Yeah.
a Diet Coke, I like a really cold canned Diet Coke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do. I like.
Yeah, I would
I
take-
mean, I could drink it, but I won't. I'll probably throw away over half the can. If you put it on ice, I'll drink the whole thing.
I'd say, but bottle is the best.
It doesn't matter.
Oh,
can,
Bottles, same way. I want it on ice.
the
It
bottle.
changes it for me, and I think it cuts a little bit of the carbonation, which I don't love. But my wife loves carbonation, so they will. Literally, they have been driving around, and they will go through McDonald's drive-through just to get the drink.
yeah.
We got some big McDonald's fans around the table.
I haven't.
I
Can't
ca-
tell you the
I'm
last time I've
shocked
eaten at
that-
McDonald's.
You have not heard of the phenomenon of
Yeah.
Nope. I not a big Mickey D's guy.
I do think it tastes better, but
I just disagree. It's not that I disagree. I just don't think so. It's the same thing.
I think you said the same thing.
they do.
Well.
They do some scientific.
Don't disagree.
I
I
don't disagree, but I think you're wrong.
Favorite soft drink?
Well, probably. Actually, as of late, it's been Pepsi Zero.
Ew.
I've switched from Coke. Someone told me
You
that.
love Coke Zero.
I like Coke Zero, and then someone's like Pepsi, and I think I've kind of it's grown on me because it's sweeter than Coke. Can you tell the difference between Coke and Pepsi?
I like.
can.
I like.
Oh,
Pepsi.
okay, so you can tell the difference between
Pepsi's
that.
terrible. That's why.
I
Wait,
think
you like
actually-
Pepsi better?
I actually like Pepsi Zero better.
I actually like Pepsi
That's
better
just-
than
it's
Coke.
sweeter.
That's a hot take right there.
I like
That
Pepsi
is a
better
hot
than.
take.
It's sweeter. I guess that could have been a hot take. I think Pepsi's better than Coke.
Wow.
Take that.
No, I like Diet Coke better than all
I
of
do
them
not.
combined.
Yeah.
But Pepsi is better than Coke.
Like regular.
Regular.
Okay, how
What's
about
your
this?
favorite soft drink?
I don't know. Probably Dr. Pepper, actually.
I used to be a big
Dr.
Dr. Pepper
See,
fan.
here's
Root beer
I like.
is also really good.
Yeah.
I will say hot take, right? I think that anything zero is better than anything diet. And
I
the
don't-
only people I feel like that I tend to disagree that I found, I wouldn't say tend to disagree, are those who have been drinking diets for a long time. And I do think there's something to you adapt your taste buds, whatever, that you love it. You know how you drink diet for a long time, you drink a regular one, you're like, whoa,
Yep.
what is this? I don't know if that's because I didn't drink soda for like 15 years. Literally, not a drip, not a drink. And
Not a drip.
not a drip of it. And then when
Wait, why?
well, a couple reasons, but primarily I thought it was upsetting my stomach. But what I think was upsetting my stomach was when I was going to, so this goes back to the McDonald's thing, when I was going to restaurants and I would order Coke or whatever it was, Cherry Coke, and you drink a lot of it, I think the carbonation's heavier. And so I think I didn't realize that it was the carbonation that was probably the biggest impact than it was the Coke or the sugar or syrup. And so I thought that was every time I go to a restaurant, I would drink, like I'd walk out and I'd feel almost this heartburn. Like I'm like, oh, I feel terrible. And so I stopped drinking it for like 3 or 4 weeks straight. I lost like 5 or 7 pounds just from not drinking the sugar from that. But then I lost all taste for it. And so whenever I would taste it and drink it, I was like, oh, this is... So I didn't for about 15 years. And then when I did in 21, when I did like that 6-month stretch where I was like, I did keto and I did some other things and I was like really strict and I had nothing else to drink because I wouldn't drink anything with sugar, any of this. I got really tired of just drinking water and unsweet tea. And so I tried, it was either a diet or a zero. And honestly, it tastes the same to me as regular Coke again. And because I've gone so long without tasting it and I'm like, this is amazing. And so then I kind
like
of acquired a taste for
Zero's not
zero.
bad. Zero's not bad.
And diet tastes different to me. I don't know if they use this different types of sweeteners.
One of them
very-
has aspartame or something.
I think
in it.
diet
Diet
uses
has
aspartame.
and the other ones will use sucralose or
Yeah,
some other
yeah.
fake sugar.
So I found that I
Somebody
like
told me
zero.
sugar substitute.
Were you when they were talking about that? They said AG1 has sweeteners in it. Somebody told me that. They feel like it has like artificial.
Like Addie knows all that stuff.
Yes. It was probably Addie that said that.
AG1, I think, does have some
Are
sweetener
you
in
serious?
it.
That is extremely surprising.
Because it tastes horrible.
Well, yeah. It does
No
taste-
disrespect to AG1, it's a great product. But
Yes.
it tastes bad.
Yeah.
What is AG1?
Athletic
It's like a
greens.
green
Oh,
It's like the
I've
most-
heard about it.
yeah.
Yeah, you just go mulch up the grass when you
Yeah.
mow it, put it in water and drink that.
But it is known.
That's
like,
super
that's a
good
hot
for-
take. I
Yes.
agree with you on.
It's super good for you.
Tim
but
Ferriss
it
says
doesn't
it
taste
says
great.
if you have one thing as a protector for his health the rest of his life, they would take every day. It's AG1.
Really?
Like Joe Rogan takes it. Like all. Like it's gone through all this testing, like 1,000 iterations to make it better and better and better. It's really good. Anyways, okay. So
All right.
You go.
wait, you said you have a few more.
Well, he said that for
Yeah,
now. He can
yeah.
come back to more.
Yeah, if we need to fill some time
Yeah,
in,
let's go.
I've got
Let's
mine.
Okay,
let's
okay.
move along.
So my first one, it's like a two-parter.
Okay.
So Disney adults
Oh, boy.
are
Why am I?
no less weird.
This seems like a very personal one.
Starting off on the back foot already.
Yeah,
We're normal.
yeah. Disney adults are not
Are no
weird.
less
Ready
weird
for defensive.
Yeah.
than rabid NFL or sports.
You're
fans.
both.
Okay, no.
So how did that help? You're both of those things. You just
And no, this is the hot take. And it is normal to
no,
If you have to start it that way.
one of those things,
dude.
either being a rabid sports fan or being a Disney adult.
Listen, for a guy who goes to
first part.
Disney as much as you do,
And
my
as-
wife
as
who
much as you
loves
do,
Disney, and I
as
know
much as
Disney
you do.
very well. Like I can navigate Disney really
you're
well
a
now.
low-key Disney
I am a trained Disney husband.
Yeah, you're a Disney spouse.
Yes, I am a trained Disney spouse. As someone of that, I could not disagree with you more.
You're saying that Disney adults are weirder than
Yes.
rabid?
Okay, like
Sports
I
fans.
understand. We've had the conversation about sports fanatics, right? People that love sports
Yes.
and they're like, maybe you went to that school or you're from that state, okay, or whatever. But I just don't understand that level of craze for Disney compared to the sports team.
Well, what is Disney? What's one of the biggest things that Disney evokes in a person?
Okay,
Can
but here we go.
please zoom in on Tim's face because this is
So
the
so
greatest
like
thing ever.
okay, and I was
It's
like, here we go. It evokes. Here's what evoked things out of me at Disney. 100-degree temperatures,
I don't know if that's
long lines, a lot of crying babies. I'm not saying I don't like it. I go happily
I keep going.
because I go.
Sounds awesome.
It sounds,
I go.
And I love all those things.
it
I will say,
sounds
we
like-
went to
it sounds
Disneyland.
like a Cincinnati Bengals game.
No, it sounds like a
in
Cleveland
early,
Brown
in early
fan.
September,
What
where
just
it's
happened?
hot and there's long lines to get to the food, and you have to get in the stadium.
Well,
You have to-
I guess I'll
Go through
give you
security.
that. I don't want to go to the games. Maybe that's fair weather because I don't want to be out in freezing cold in the December going to a game.
it's not like that's what I'm saying. There's actually a lot of both groups pay outrageous amounts of money
Agree.
to attend their products. Both groups of people will dress up in outrageous costumes.
I don't like. I don't remember dressing up in outrageous costumes to go to Disney.
Okay, time out. You're the one.
You're not a
My
Disney
wife,
adult.
my wife did make me wear a Disney sweatshirt.
There you go. The true blue Disney adults are not afraid to.
Yeah, you know the type.
Yeah, True Blues.
True blues. What's a
Yeah.
true blue? You
While
mean a true
you're
blood?
collecting your thoughts, can I
So-
just say, can we just go back to the greatest highlight moment in Hot Takes history when you were on sabbatical and you looked at him and said, I came ready. And you said, being super
To
into
college
a sports team from a college
that you've never.
is super weird. And then you paused with dramatic effect and said, being really into a sports team from a college that you did not attend is even
Weird.
weirder. And I hugged you. I got up, and he melted. And
Yeah.
it was
I'm just saying.
Are you a bigger Disney fan or a football fan?
Oh, that's a tough question. Probably
or God.
Probably football.
So you.
I really think I have more.
So you're just saying that the fanatical behavior
Yes.
of a fanatical NFL or sports fan
yeah,
is comparable
and people
to the fanatical behavior of a Disney
adult.
fan.
Yeah, and people
Disney
on
adult.
social media like to make fun of Disney adults.
Would you?
Well, it's fun, but but I actually agree with you.
Thank you.
Like people like are in the snow with no shirt, and
Yeah.
letters painted up. That's crazy.
They might be crazier.
yeah,
That level. I was just
Yeah.
thinking you're like, hey, I'm a big football fan. I want to watch football on Sundays,
No.
that kind of stuff.
Actually, in some ways, I think I can see becoming a Disney adult more than becoming a rabid sports fan.
because Disney evokes nostalgia, it
Mm.
return to childhood. I mean, there's all these different things.
Yeah.
That
Yes, the older I get, the less I care about sports. Like, hey, watch these grown men jump on each other.
Yeah, okay, this is, I mean,
That's
this isn't my hot
Go to
take,
Star
but,
Wars land sounds awesome.
and so we're going to come back because this isn't my hot take, but on this, I don't know if I got to send it to you, but I sent you both Scott Galloway's one of his other YouTube talks. But an interesting thing he said he's talking about all of the trends that you can watch in somebody's life to see if they're heading the right direction. And he said an adverse trend is when an adult spends more time watching sports than being active. They said if an adult spends 3 or 4 hours a night watching sports, but they're not exercising during the day, he said that I can actually tell you they're not heading in the right direction. He said that's unhealthy. He said, but if you look at sports as, this is this is something that's just fun. It's a hobby. It's a bonding experience to go with a friend to watch. He said that's different. Oh, it's fascinating.
I don't know if I disagree.
Anyways, I actually don't know if I disagree with your hot take. It was hilarious to hear you unpack it, though.
Yeah.
And I just got to ask.
I would probably, if it's, okay, so here's a good one for you real quick. Just finish it up.
Yeah.
Okay. Bad weather. Let's just say 100 degrees.
Okay.
At a football game all day, uncovered, or at Disney all day?
I'm going to a football game because Disney's an all-day experience.
I think I'd go to Disney because you actually can go inside for the line cues. You can do all that.
Yeah, but
I guess
they got cool zones at a football game and different things like that. Like, plus, also, here's the thing about live sports. Like, live sports are probably the last thing in our culture that is appointment viewing.
Yeah.
You can only catch that thing one time. I can always go back to Disneyland or Disney World on a day where it's
If it's
75
two teams you
I would
want
say
to
it's
see,
the only.
if there are 2 teams you want to see.
name 3 other things in our culture that are appointment viewing besides live sports.
concerts.
Well, I was going to say, I was seeing comedians, seeing
comedians.
concerts, like those kind of things.
Church.
Every Sunday's different. Hey.
There's 3.
I will say I probably agree with the fanatical part of it.
Yeah.
I guess I was just comparing somebody who likes Disney or is a Disney adult who likes Disney versus someone who likes football. But the fanatical, like the people that are out there in freezing temperatures and they, versus going to Disney, honestly, freezing temperatures, I'd probably rather be at Disney with it being a little hot than I would be out in freezing cold for 4 hours.
So in transparency, your wife works for Disney. Or she helps.
She works for a travel agency, and one of the things she specializes in is sending people to Disney.
Yep. So if you're listening to this and you need to plan a family vacation, hit up
Brown.
Rebecca Brown. What's that? What's that? We'll give her a shout out. What's that?
Rebecca at Magical Compass Vacations.
Magical Compass Vacations.
On Facebook or on Instagram.
Okay, so my question is, do you guys feel like you became bigger Disney adults from her going into that? Or do you feel like her doing that, or is it both? Like her doing that obviously comes out of y'all both love Disney. But do you feel like since she went into that, it's just increased it even more of just like this?
No, I think we already loved it a lot, and that's why she actually went into that business. Plus, also just if you know her and her personality, she loves helping people.
Yeah.
So that makes sense there. But no, she just made a post recently that was like, I didn't realize that after my first trip as a family going to Disney that it would turn into this kind of big obsession is not the right word, but just I would say love. Like when we it was actually funny. It was COVID 2020 going into that year. I remember that Christmas. I was to Rebecca and said, "We're gonna go to Disney this year. I've always wanted to go, take my kids, take my family." And I said, "Well, we'll find a way to."
Wait,
pay
you'd
for
never
it.
gone since?
No. I'd been as a kid.
Okay.
But I wanted to like go and experience it with my kids and a family, and so I just said, and you always think you always hear it's so expensive, and it is expensive, but there are ways to do it relatively. It's way cheaper than what you imagine. And so we said we're going to save money for it. We're going to be intentional. We're going to go. We're going to plan it, and we like researched everything ourselves, like found everything ourselves, like planned our whole trip. And it was during May of 2020 when we were supposed to go. And then that plan got canceled. But when we ended up traveling, it was in September of COVID, right after it reopened. And it was, if you went to Disney that time, it was so different because it had all the COVID restrictions and all things. But even then, it was still enough that it hooked us, and we really loved it. And it just never stopped going. And since then, we've done a lot of like, just reading about the company and the history and the part, like there's a lot of, I think, fascinating stuff there.
There is. It's fun to pick, but I love the wonder and joy of Disney. I got to go a lot growing up.
Here's a hot take. People would say that the Walt Disney Company, or WED, is actually better at city planning than most actual cities.
Honestly, I can see that.
In America.
I can see it.
Yep, I can see that.
Where they move people. They're just so good at it. So,
Did you see Ron DeSantis there?
nope.
He wasn't there.
He doesn't like Mickey Mouse.
Okay. What else you got?
All right, last one. I think that it is, or I believe that it is actually good for college athletics that athletes are getting paid. And I know it's going to be a game changer, but I think it's a really healthy and good thing.
What do y'all think?
I agree. I think it's good.
I don't have a problem with it. And they've changed it. It's not just NIL. They just passed a
they're
new
gonna
thing
start
that the
getting
universities are going to pay them.
I think you're
So
going
that's
to see.
that's a new take.
I think, and this could be a whole nother podcast. You're going to see unionization. I think you're going to see potentially leagues form. I think you're going to see collective bargaining agreements for big sports like football and basketball and college.
Kids are going to have agents out of high school.
They are. They already kind of do.
Yeah.
They already kind of, and my brother-in-law, shout out to him. He's a sports psychologist at Mississippi State, and he tells me that kids come in all the time, and these are kids right out of high school coming in, big-time SEC football. They have their own nutritionist. They have their own physical therapist. They have their own exercise coach. They have their own sports psychologist. I mean, they have all these people already at 18 years old going to these places.
Crazy.
It's crazy.
All right, what else you got?
That's all.
That's
all I
it.
got
Okay.
on the fun
I
ones.
came so unprepared. Just give us one more before I give you my pitiful one.
One more?
I got two of them that I can do too that aren't serious.
Do you?
You want to go? Oh, is it? Mine are, I don't think anybody will disagree with this. Crocs are terrible.
I agree.
They're
Yeah.
horrible. All
Totally
the kids
agree.
wear them these days. My wife wears them, and I'm embarrassed every time she leaves the house in them.
Man, I agree with you.
I agree with you.
So terrible.
Yep.
My video game one. Oh, I almost forgot this one. Okay. Video games are better at storytelling than most movies. Because in a movie, you don't become the main character. In a video game, you are in the story.
Let me ask this question: are you saying just movies, or are you saying TV shows? Movies and TV shows, or
Yeah, let's lump them together. I'd say movies and TV shows.
okay, then it's a little bit harder for me to agree with you because I do think the format of the way TV shows tell stories is more similar than to video games.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But there is something that is whenever you achieve a catharsis in terms of you level your character up to the highest level it can be, and then you defeat the final boss.
Okay. I
Yeah.
think I'm gonna disagree with you on
Like,
this.
it
Here's
is-
why. I'm gonna.
Yeah,
Because you haven't played a video game since Pong.
I played a video game.
But like a story based.
I totally disagree with you in regards to the story aspect. I think that you might be saying from a perspective of you get to participate, so it feels different. If you're taking purely from storytelling, my experience with video games, first person shooting games, RPG type games, even those, my experience has been there is some kind of base scenario. Oh, this general just did this. We've got to go defeat him. And then you go through all these scenes to defeat him. It is the most simplistic of storytelling. When you look at
Are we talking about
movies,
Call of Duty?
it doesn't
Yes.
matter. I don't.
You nailed Call of Duty.
Is that what it is?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's Call of Duty.
I'm just saying when you go to again, maybe it's most when you go to a good movie, there is so much to the storytelling of whether it's character development, whether it's creating tension and then it's resolving it and then having to create tension again, and like the plot twists. There's not a lot of plot twists in those in video games. This is the bad dude, you're the good dude, and you got to go win. You're telling me there's a lot of plot twists in
You
them?
got to play Red Dead Redemption 2.
Play what?
Red Dead Redemption 2?
Red Dead Redemption 2?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. People know.
Lots of plot
Also-
twists.
They're screaming it. Like 3 people are like, yes. out
There's
there
not
right
even
now.
3
Already
people
are.
watching this
There's
or
3, and I
listening.
could probably name
They're
who
not
they are.
okay.
And we also know some of the biggest
Red Dead
plot twists
Redemption.
in video gaming history
Okay.
come from the Halo franchise.
Wait, I know who else is screaming with you. Debbie Smith, we see you.
So wait, so So you guys would say, but I probably would tend to agree comparing the video game Halo versus somebody watching the movie Halo. They're probably not going to like the movie as much as the video
If
game.
you compare IP to IP, yes. But I'm just saying, take a game like Destiny, for example. Came out in 2014. It's 2024. I know you've played a lot of Destiny.
Oh, yeah. A ton of Destiny. There's so much Destiny.
Listen.
By the way, the same company that made Halo, at least the good Halos.
Yeah.
Made Destiny. Jeremiah 29:11's on the front.
No, time out. So, Destiny has 10 years of world building, storytelling, lore development, all of these things.
It is criminal for the
And-
audience. They can't watch Tim's
Wait,
face
where did
and
they build
hear
these
noises.
worlds?
What do you mean, where did they
10
build
years of world building.
them? Yes.
I don't know. What are we talking about here? Is this in the metaverse?
This goes back to like Marvel and DC are the same. This
Yes.
is just painful.
I
Yes.
agree with you.
No,
Which
Great hot
no,
take.
no,
I'm
no.
with you
Somebody
on
in my
that.
circle
Can I tell you?
almost
I
monthly
just
brings
saw-
up the Marvel DC.
Can I
thing,
just
and
tell
it
you?
makes me so mad.
Can I
every
just
time.
tell you? I saw a Marvel movie just the other day on Netflix because I think it's new out on there, and it was just not good.
Well, the newer ones.
The
yeah,
new ones
they're-
are
they're
Madam
not great.
Web.
Well, okay, I'll go ahead and
Yeah,
give
they're
my
awful.
one. I'll go ahead and give my one little
Wait.
hot take. And we've talked about
Wait,
Marvel
is it-
before, but I was just gonna say, I think the Dune and Mad Max movies are way better than the Marvel and DC movies.
Like, the
Not
Marvel-
Dune 1. But
Not
Dune
Dune
2 was
Dune
good.
you're
2.
talking about Marvel movies up, even including all the
I'm just talking about in general.
all the Infinity Gauntlet ones.
Yeah.
Okay, that's ludicrous.
I haven't seen the new Mad Max, and I don't really remember the old one as much. The Furiosa.
I really don't either. I'm mainly going by Dune 2 and this new Furiosa, but like that kind of like epic scale. It's got all these anti-heroes and it's got like a mix of like futuristic, apocalyptic, dystopian stuff. It's just so much better.
I probably would tend to agree with him. I think most Marvel movies are overrated.
Yours.
Is there a difference between Marvel and DC? They're the same thing,
Yeah,
right?
they are the same thing.
They're like just this is a division of
I'm
the same
gonna-
company.
I'm
One
looking for
has,
the phone.
I think one has Superman and one doesn't. Something like that.
Hey,
You're not wrong.
You know what? You know what?
Yeah.
Your opinion on this is so ludicrous. that
Ludicrous?
You don't even deserve a chance. to
I
speak more to
received
Marvel
that.
DC.
Well, here's the
I
deal.
mean, anybody that thinks Marvel and DC are basically the same thing, just with different costumes, different color capes. What's the difference? You have a different utility belt. Woohoo!
There's so much
I
difference.
mean, right? What are we
There's
talking about
stories
here?
Jesse,
and
what's happening
what they-
inside of you right now?
Death and misery.
Okay,
Well, I have not seen the Furiosa. I haven't seen any of the Dunes.
but in general, I would probably prefer those type of movies over Marvel.
Dude,
Their Marvels are just not believable,
Yeah.
but Dune is.
You have like don't you have like a glowing green guy? You have there is a glowing green guy riding on a skateboard.
yeah, that's a little
And
ridiculous.
he dances around a couple bad actors, and then something happens at the end. And
What are you
I
describing?
think he just described
Green
Marvel.
Lantern.
I think
Yes.
you described Flubber 3.
look at the Green Lantern. Yes.
Also, probably that.
In all fairness,
Okay.
Jesse,
Green Lantern was
I
a
don't know what
Marvel
that is.
movie
Okay.
that came out in 2004 with Ryan Reynolds.
No. But he was back in something that was big last
Why
year.
do you know the year?
Yeah.
That's a better question.
Why do you?
He's
know
like,
the
no,
year?
that movie came out in May of 2004. It was released May 18th. It did $63 million at the box office that weekend. Don't you remember? No. Why do you remember that? Anyways.
My mind.
Okay.
Whew,
Okay, I had...
Was it? It's really big.
Yeah. What was it? What was it when they were debating with him, and he goes, "Guys, the problem is my brain's so big."
Yeah, he did. My brain's so big.
He
A
goes,
little humble
"Sometimes
brag.
I have issues."
Humble brag. I have a couple. Like fun light ones that we could do. We could probably end
Yeah.
with that if you want. We don't have to do any serious ones today, or we could do one. I think streaming services that were supposed to free us from cable have actually enslaved us, and I kind of wish we could go back.
This was, I think, one of yours. Maybe it was last summer. I
Did
don't
you
know.
do one on streaming services? It's just gotten ridiculous,
Yes, it has, and it's also
and it's costing more
Well,
now.
it's cable again.
Yeah.
It is
just-
cable
it's a little bit
again,
a la
except
carte
now
now.
I've got to buy from different companies
But it's
instead
so-
of one.
it's also really interesting. Going back to some of my sports stuff and appointment viewing, no one makes TV shows for network cable anymore.
What are you talking about?
When was the last
What do you think The Bachelor is?
Okay, that's reality TV. But when was the last appointment TV viewing TV show that was on network TV?
What?
Game of Thrones is like the only thing I can think of, and that ended
There's all kinds of stuff that.
on network.
Oh, you
television.
on network television?
On network television.
Well, first of all, I don't think Game of Thrones was on network
That was
television.
on HBO, but it was still like.
You mean like you had to watch it every week when it gets
Yes,
released?
Yes.
I think there are shows that are getting released every single week right now. I think we just don't care about them anymore.
But nothing that has captured.
Aren't there sitcoms and things
psyche.
like that?
Not.
Park.
I don't know. Are there still?
Well, how about this? Because they're getting ready to release an episode. What about things like South Park? Don't they release those still weekly? Or how often they release them?
But-
I mean,
but
anybody
it's
like South Park.
still-
I'm just
But a
saying.
majority of the country's not watching South Park.
No, I think things are different in how things get released.
I'm just saying, all that time that used to be filled by Lost, The Office.
Speaking of which, have we
um,
talked about this going to be an Office spinoff?
Yeah,
Heard about
there is. All the time that used to be filled by that programming, it's not there anymore, and so that's why you're seeing more sports programming.
What about? I'm trying to think.
The
More,
more
recent.
part-time.
What about Suits? Because they're doing a spinoff. But didn't Suits originally come out on TV? And it was released. That was probably
don't
2016. I don't know. Maybe it's
New Girl came out on TV, right?
Yeah.
It was a
Yeah.
Fox show, right?
Yeah.
But that was
It's still been a.
I think
few
the by
years ago, at
appointment
least.
thing you're gonna have to
But you
get
know
rid of
what?
because that doesn't exist anymore. I don't think anybody cares about that.
I
You
feel
can
like
watch
the
anything
transition
afterwards.
was, the first time I noticed this was Lost. It was like season 3 of Lost. It would they'd show them weekly on ABC. But I remember like even if you missed it, you could go on like abc.com the next day
And watch it. I remember
and, like,
that.
watch it. And I feel like New Girl, same thing, because New Girl, like it would hit, but then like if you missed it, I feel like it would hit Hulu by 24 hours later.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
yeah,
yeah,
a lot
you
of-
would.
a lot-
Most stuff
Hulu
did.
probably started
Yeah.
that because it was
You
a
do
lot of
realize-
network stuff.
Lost season 3 was like 2006.
Oh, I know.
Oh my gosh.
Here we go.
Are you doing this again? Are you doing this again? What are you doing? I think the by appointment idea is just gone. I don't think that. I think you need to drop that.
Except for sports.
Yeah. But I'm
And
just saying,
concerts
like when
and
it comes to, I'm saying when it
of-
comes to like TV or media that you stream, I think that world is over. I think nobody's putting out anything that you have to watch it at a certain time once and you won't get to watch it again.
Okay, let me ask you this. I've
Go
been
for
trying
sports.
to convince my parents to switch to just streaming services.
Yeah.
But of course, my dad with sports. But you watch a lot of sports. Do you still have like?
Yeah, YouTube
I have
TV is
YouTube
great.
TV is a streaming service.
It's expensive, but it has
so
all
that's
of
what
them.
you would tell my dad if he's watching. Like
Yes.
It
just go
is
to
cable.
YouTube TV.
YouTube TV.
It is cable across the internet. There's no difference. I mean, it has a guide. I mean, other than you can just say, I want to watch all Clemson games. And you literally hit that and it records. And I mean, it makes available in your library every Clemson game.
Speaking of which, got my first baseball game in last night. Columbus Clippers. Beautiful.
Yeah.
It was so beautiful.
Okay, I'll give, here's one that
Oh.
I wrote specifically for you
Okay.
after my last trip.
I can't wait.
Oh, I knew this would come. You don't like LA.
I said, no. Mine was large cities are overrated. Not all cities, large cities. I think massive metropolises with millions upon millions upon millions of people with horrible traffic are overrated.
I could get behind.
I
could get behind.
I'm not saying I don't like city stuff. Like it makes me going to LA, and there was some cool stuff that we did there, and I've had some good stuff there. Makes me appreciate being close or living near Columbus. I like that we can go downtown. Hey, you want to go on a Friday? You want to go to this? We go to and we're not sitting in traffic all day. It's not trouble finding parking. It doesn't cost double what it should cost. I mean, everything was expensive there just to eat there, And so I just walked away going, I don't mind going into cities. I just think massively large cities are overrated.
Well, why is it? I feel like you felt so different coming back this time, because when me and you went to LA a few months ago, it felt like you came back with a different perspective.
No, I liked some of the stuff, and we did some of the same stuff that we did before. I think when we went, for some reason, our short little visits that we did, to like, I feel like we avoided all of the mess of typical Maybe it was just the typical sightseeing because we didn't really do that.
Well, we didn't do touristy stuff. Number one. Number two, I told Lorley this too. Obviously there is massive traffic, and I kind of got immune to. I lived in Atlanta. There's debate that Atlanta's traffic is even worse than LA's traffic.
It could be. I don't know.
Number one. Number two, I do have that weird psychological thing of I'm kind of like, a restaurant's good if there's a line out the door. I know people disagree with me. I kind of look at the city the same way. There's a reason there's a lot of people there. But also, if you live in a city long enough, like you can learn the traffic patterns.
Yeah.
And you can learn how to avoid some of them horrible mess.
You probably can.
Like of all my 5 years living in Atlanta and all the dozens of times I've been to LA, I've not a whole lot of times ever gotten stuck horribly in traffic.
We didn't get stuck horribly. We got stuck all the time. That was the difference.
Yeah.
So, there were some places we ate were great. There were some places we went. I don't think it's bad. I just think they're overrated. Yep. Well, I think a lot of them have become so big, but I also wonder, now, again, LA's a little bit different in the fact that you're on the West Coast. There's a lot of people that might like the weather, the temperature, and some of that is why some of those cities get big. Other than New York. New York is really big, and they don't have great weather. I mean, it's probably the same as here, mostly. But even like Atlanta, you look at how spread out it is as a metropolis. I wonder how many, when they're that big and you have organizations that are there and their headquarters there and jobs, a lot of people are going there for work. They're going there for jobs. They're going there for career opportunities. Makes you wonder how many of them really love the city, but there's just a converging of so many people because of what's there, whether it's jobs, work related, maybe it's, and so I'm curious because you obviously know there's Atlanta, the city of Atlanta, and then there's what we think of with Atlanta, which is, you drive 45 minutes in one direction and you're technically not out of Atlanta, it feels like, and you're in some others, and even like Joel that we know, Pastor Joel, like we know from there, I don't think, he's probably someone who's probably strange, but he's probably someone who doesn't love downtown Atlanta, but he lives in Atlanta, but he probably doesn't mind his suburb of Atlanta.
Well, and part of it probably, and I guess when we would say hot takes, it is opinions. I think part of it, like when you say it's overrated, I'm just like, it is very much a preference thing. Yeah. Like some people just, because you say overrated, I'm like, almost everybody I know that lives here hates it. Like the idea of going to LA or hates like big cities.
Well, maybe because they go there and then they come back here, and it's so much easier to park and to navigate and to find,
But people that love cities and love LA are the opposite. They're like, oh my gosh, why do I ever come back? So I think it's very preference driven. Sure. I think it's preference driven. Number one, cities in general. Some people just do not like being in a city. Yeah. I always joke when people are like, I feel closer to God in the mountains. I'm like, I totally resonate with that. I also feel really close to God when I go into a city because I'm like, oh, humanity.
Because you might die.
Energy. And the best of the best is in cities because of demand. So when you have that many people living in a city, you by demand are going to have the best food, the best scenes, the best coffee, the best shopping, the best entertainment. Like
you have the most business
creativity. You're going to have, and so I love the buzz of a city. I love the creativity that comes out of a city. Yeah. But I will say, there's not all cities are created equally. Sure. So like LA, I love because yes, people may unlike maybe some major cities up north, like people go to LA maybe for jobs, but really, most people move to the heart of Los Angeles from all over the country because they want to pursue their dreams in the arts. Yeah. And like there is like this epic storytelling, dreamy kind of thing about LA that's different than like Detroit. I went to Detroit and I'm like, oh, this sucks. No. Like it was cool to go for a day and explore.
Like Chicago has a nice downtown.
Yeah, Chicago has a nice downtown. But a lot of people around here love Chicago. I still would never want to move to Chicago, but it'd be cool to visit. Yeah.
Aren't you kind of romanticizing LA a little bit though? Like
no.
I think that those people that you're describing moving to LA, they have these dreams, all these different things. Those spots where the energy is, where the creativity is, the best restaurants, the best those aren't always either A, affordable, B, realistic, or or C, like you can't spend all your time in those spots in a city. And so you have people who go wanting this experience or maybe envisioning being able to spend more time or to enjoy some of those luxuries or things that are there. But the reality is they don't have those opportunities. The work is hard. It's grinding, and they're not even going to have that chance. And then So you go with those expectations or those hopes and dreams, but then you're stuck in a place with, 15 million people that are on top of you. You're paying outrageous amounts of money for rent, for housing. You can't even start a family because it's hard to afford it and be able to do those different types of things.
Yeah, I mean, that's one perspective, and it's a real perspective that some people have. I'm not denying the reality. Again, there's a reason I don't live in LA. Number one, I feel called here, and I've fallen in love with the city of Columbus, and so I do love it here. But if you move there and you don't understand, so let's say you're moving there to become an actor or dancer, and you don't understand that the odds are against you, that the best around the world are going there, and you don't factor in the price. I mean, all of those things that you're saying are very, very real. The reason I kind of quickly said, no, I'm not idealizing it, is I will say Southern California is one of those rare. You ever had a place that, like, in your mind, your whole life, like, you imagined it, and then you get there, it's kind of a letdown? Like, Southern California is one of those few places that, for me, was the opposite. My whole life, I always felt a resonance with it. I mean, it sounds funny, I make fun of me, but the whimsical side of me, the Disney side of me that's towards LA, the punk rock music I always listen to, watching, like, there's always, and whenever I've gone there, I'm like, oh, this does feel, like, I feel a resonance. But the other thing, too, is, like, to your real life examples, I got family there that their experience is the opposite. My niece moved there as a 19-year-old girl 4 years ago. Her experience has been incredible. Yeah. Like, she's made it. She loves it. She loves it more now that she's moved there than she did before. My sister doesn't live in there anymore. My sister's a middle-aged woman that lived there for 3 or 4 years, and she's like, this is the greatest thing on the planet. So I just think everybody's experience is so different.
It's interesting. We met I always like talking to the waitresses. We met a waitress at kind of a well-known, we had people tell us, go to this restaurant in Santa Barbara. It was called Finney's, and it was great. We loved it. The food was great. And we had this waitress, and she was super sweet. And so we started asking her about, like, hey, if we're going to drive down, because she mentioned something about L.A., and she was from L.A. So then we started talking to her. And she grew up in L.A., outside of it, and, it is interesting to take because she was up in Santa Barbara and was going to school, like, at UC Santa Barbara. Santa Barbara is, I feel like, a little bit more of it's probably a ritzier type of, like, area, I think,
Santa Barbara's the rich Charleston, South Carolina of
is that what it is? Yeah. And so we were there, just staying there and for a couple of days, and we went to this restaurant, and she was going to she actually wanted to go to school, I think in San Diego, or one of them. She was going to go to school, ended up going to UC Santa Barbara, even though they don't have the exact job, like they had a business school like this she wanted to. But she did not, like she said, once she learned to drive and other stuff in LA and then had to deal with it, and she grew up there. Yeah. She was like, I don't know why in the world you would stay here. And so she loved, which again, they're very different environments. She loved Santa Barbara. And I said, are you going to stay here? And she said, I'd like to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and, it's very,
and then I had a friend who lived in San Diego for about 7 years, and he just moved to Phoenix. His wife is Mexican, and she's from Mexico, and so they wanted to be close. They used to live here, and so they moved to San Diego, and it was like a 2-hour drive back to visit her family at home. So they lived there for several years. He moved to Phoenix because he's getting older, and he was like, we literally cannot buy a house, and we cannot afford to buy a house. So they moved out of it to Phoenix, not because they wanted to, but solely because they're like, we can't really build a future here. And
pretty
fascinating.
The data, LA is in California, and people are leaving California in droves right now. To your point, away from the city.
It was cool.
Most cities are
really since COVID.
Are experiencing people moving away.
We liked Santa Barbara. I will say the weather was interesting. It was cool. And what's funny is just between that and some other stuff, my wife, we were walking yesterday, and it was cool. You here yesterday, and she has always been like, she's hot weather. Hallie. What do we call her? What's a good H name?
Yeah,
hot weather Hallie. And so she's the type that always like, let's go down to Florida. I like the hot weather. Get out of always wanted that. And we were walking around yesterday, and she goes, I think I might be changing, because we went out for a week out there, and it was in the 60s which was strange to me. It was 20 some odd degrees colder than here in Ohio. And it was in the 60s, but it was cool, and she was like, I kind of liked it. So one of the things I did enjoy was the temperate climate out there was very nice. And I can see where that's attractional.
Well, I mean, that's the part of, they joke now that, another hot topic is climate change, but they joke now that what they're paying taxes for in California, now, it's kind of a waste now because there's so much rain, there's so much like weather change happening there. But, I've talked about it before. It's really interesting. Only 3% of the world has what's considered a Mediterranean climate.
Yeah.
And Southern California is part of that small 3% of our planet that has that Mediterranean climate. That is part of one of the reasons it is so expensive to move there. But it doesn't surprise me people are, look, if most people can't afford to buy a house in Ohio right now, then if you're in New York or LA, it is almost impossible. You are having, to move. And but it is really interesting talking about San Diego. People, when you go to Southern California, it can be easy if you're not from there to lump Santa Barbara, San Diego, LA all together. It's so different. If you love LA, you probably would hate to live in San Diego. If you love San Diego, you probably hate to live in LA.
Yeah.
But so different than San Francisco too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They're all very, very different. I think you could go to different Ohio cities, and there probably is some similarity in living.
Which, fun fact, Jess used to live in LA.
For a very short time, yeah.
You did?
Pasadena. Right after high school graduation, I did an internship.
Okay.
There for about 2 months.
Did you like it?
I loved it.
I actually think, it's probably been a while since you've been there. I don't know if it's a hot take, but I tell people, I think Pasadena, especially South Pass, is one of the most underrated parts of Southern California.
Yeah.
And it has some places.
We drove through it. It was beautiful.
Yes.
We drove through it. We drove through all the. I went there for the cars. I just wanted to see the car. I love, when I was with you.
Watching him with the cars is the best.
And I did not get to see that many. I got to see some good ones. I felt like we saw better ones when we went. But I did get to see a Lambo on, Rodeo Drive, but not
saw my
very
first real life Lambo when I was in California.
And so it was. So I'm not saying anything about the weather or anything like that. I wouldn't have a problem going back there. My wife's like, I'd be fine if I didn't come back here. I think it's good to. She enjoyed getting to see the sights, do that, but it wasn't anything particular about the city that was like, I really want to come back here.
Do you not feel like I also just?
And I don't
feel
think
like
I would take a trip there just for that.
About being in an influential city in human history. Throughout history, you talk about the Romes, you talk about New York. It's like L.A.
See, I would not. Do you know some of the? Do you know some? Do you want me to list some of the cities that I've been in? When you say influential cities in the world, I would not put L.A. anywhere in the top 10. I can think of 10 more in Europe that I would put when I think historically.
Okay, I'm not talking over the last 1,000 years.
Okay.
I would argue this isn't even an opinion thing. But when you talk about what has exported culture, and if it's true,
movies,
if it's true that the future belongs to those that are telling the stories, movies, arts, entertainment, culture, like LA has been the biggest exporter through the arts and through the movies of culture to the world in the last 25, 30 years. Like, it has helped shape the way the world looks at life. Like, I don't think it's arguable. Like, it is one of the, Los Angeles, Hollywood, that is the most iconic place that people around the world talk about and want to go to. So maybe not, maybe in different terms than you would look at like a Paris, maybe in different terms than you look. And I understand like historically.
Rome, that's what I was thinking. When you talking about historically influential cities, I guess I wouldn't. But you're saying in regards to that, I'd say culture has been affected by what has come out of Los Angeles as much as anything else in our country.
Yeah.
In some regard.
Even going back to like Irwin, maybe I'm not saying he's right or wrong, but he was like, the whole reason he moved there is like, because of all his studies he did as a futurist for companies all over the world, all the stats pointed to LA as the epicenter of human future. And I feel like over the last 30 years, that's at least been the case. Now everything's so like flattened by digital media.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's always going to be the case.
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
I was going to say, I generally probably agree with your hot take that big cities are overrated, but I personally want to visit. I've got like a laundry list of big cities that I want to visit in my lifetime. and I would withhold my judgment on saying that particular city is overrated until
I didn't say a particular city. I said large cities.
Large
Like
cities.
even when I was in Europe, I would prefer to go to Strasbourg, France over Paris. I think it's a better French city.
I generally would agree
Like
with
to experience the French culture and all of this. Like there's parts of some of those cities that get so, I want to say, overblown when it comes to the commercialization and shopping and all that stuff that you lose some of the quintessential cultural character
Yeah,
and that. And so to me, like that's where I've been
Yeah.
to Paris and I've been to other cities. I'm like,
what you
no,
mean.
I'm like, I've been to,
I'm not saying I disagree with you.
yeah. Well, that's my point. That's what I'm saying. Large cities are a little bit overrated.
Like
I think
I enjoyed Florence way better and Venice way more than I
Rome?
did Rome.
yeah, Rome's, I would agree. I liked Venice probably better.
I liked them all equally, but they are very different.
I like Rome because of the historical aspect, but
Yes.
other than that, if I wasn't going to St. Peter's Basilica or the Colosseum or going to see all of those things, I probably would not want to spend my time in Rome
No,
versus I would rather be in
Because you feel
Venice.
more the
Florence.
character of Italy in Florence
Yes.
and Tuscany.
Yes.
Yes.
It's more just you feel the history.
Yeah.
Yes. And so I think that experience is probably what I would feel in other places as well. But I would want to withhold my judgment on a specific city until I spent time in that city. But like, I don't have an overwhelming desire to like, I don't know, plan a trip to a big city just to go see.
Just to go see
Have you
the
been to
city.
LA?
No, it's on my. That's probably
That's right.
from an American standpoint. That's definitely the next place. I want to go to LA. I want to go to San Francisco. I want to go.
You've been
I
to
really
New
want to
York?
go up to the. Yes, I've been in New York. I've been in DC. I've been to.
There's a different vibe when people
Dallas.
say LA and New York. There's definitely a totally different vibe.
Yeah.
Like New York, I feel like has a buzz of busyness. It's job. When you think of business, you think New York. LA has a totally different feeling. Mm-hmm. It's more, I feel like, laid back. I feel like it's, people have different attitudes a little bit. I don't even get the buzz of New York in LA at all.
It's very different.
I don't feel, the energy?
Yeah,
Like when you walk around Soho and you just, there is
There's
a
an
buzz
energy.
and energy. I got none of that when I'm in LA.
Yeah,
I'm not
it's-
saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying it feels
It is
different.
different. Me and my sister-
You've been both, right?
I haven't been to New York.
You haven't been to New York? Okay.
Yeah, you've been quiet. What are your thoughts?
Well, I haven't been to a major city in quite a while.
Okay.
We went to LA. What was that? 2 years ago? Or no? Not LA. Atlanta.
And
And
you liked it better than Hollywood.
I liked Atlanta. Yeah. Never been to New York. So when I lived in LA, I actually hated it while I was there. That was more to do with the fact of I was 18, just graduated high school, had no friends out there, had no
Yeah.
social life. But looking back on it now, it was super nice. Like I'd love to have one of those days a year here, like with that weather. But yeah, I wouldn't say that I am a city person. I like to go to the city with other people, but I don't usually seek it out for myself.
Yeah. I'm the type that I don't mind. Like I like going to the city for stuff, but I don't want to live
Yep.
in the city.
Yep.
And the bustle and all that. Like I don't mind going there. Like
Yep.
we're gonna go eat at a restaurant, go do that. But even in LA, I mean, it was a little stressful going like, hey, let's go to this place. You go there, you go. I have no idea where or how to park. And because of real estate there, like nobody has parking lots. Nobody. Yeah. So it's all street parking everywhere you go. And you're trying to figure out how to park. And it's like, but
All right, here's a question for all three of you, super quick.
we got to go. We lost people at the first 5 minutes anyway, so it doesn't matter.
We'll circle back, finish our.
This was
my
our own
turn.
conversation. Nobody cares about this conversation.
We'll
Trust
circle
me.
back, finish our light takes, and then do heavy hot takes. But the three of
Whoa.
you, if you were
We're
forced
out of
to,
time. We'll do hot takes next time.
Yes, I'm saying.
Oh, the heavy ones next time. Yeah.
If you had to live in a large major city, where would you live?
I can only speak on the ones that I've been in, right?
No.
I mean, okay.
No.
So if I. Okay, this is a wild card. But I think this would vibe with like what, in my mind, my ideal life and where I want to go. I think I would pick Barcelona.
Interesting.
That's a city I love.
Because I think Europe, there's just so much history there's so much. It's right there. I think Europe is a little bit more relaxed compared to American pace, which I would enjoy.
Yep.
I think it's a temperate climate in Barcelona, but there's also like a little bit of beach. But then there's history, and there's like I just picture, and maybe it's a romanticized version of it, but I just picture.
Have you been?
No, never been to Barcelona.
I can tell you. You're describing it perfectly.
And
yeah.
And I think that knowing myself, I could see myself there.
That surprises me though, because you've always said that you would want cold climate. You've always said you feel like you'd be more of a New England person.
I mean, I enjoy cold, yes, but I feel like Barcelona is temperate. Like it's not ever going to be blazing hot, but because of how close everything is in Europe, we talked about this last time. Like it's easy to like I could go up into a more cold climate if I wanted to. Go visit the Alps, could do whatever. Like there's places to experience those things.
Love that.
So I don't know if this is going to count as a major city. I think it does. But the first one that came to mind was
Ohio.
Columbus, Ohio.
Newark, Ohio, not New Jersey.
Zanesville.
Zanesville.
Is Austin, Texas.
Okay.
Columbus of the South.
Is that what they say?
But I've heard some people compare it to Columbus.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
See?
College
I've always heard it
town,
was
tech
Portland in
town,
the South, because it's so weird. and
college,
liberal
tech
and-
town.
Yeah.
Well, there's some elements of Columbus that's weird too, believe it or not.
Yeah, that's true.
There are.
That's true.
Yeah.
I've heard
Austin.
it's like.
Can't afford anything there.
Have you been there?
Mm-mm. Well, no, I was going to say I've never been to Texas. I've been in an airport in Texas, but that doesn't really count.
That don't count. You have to have a passport to get into actual Texas
Yeah,
You do?
because it's a different country. Yeah.
you're about to. Probably.
Hey, that's why I like it.
For me, that's tough. My experience of living here and in Europe, I would probably pick a European city. But if
And I know what you mean. They're like Bern, those kind of places. that have that kind of
they're
character.
really cool places. But then part of me also thinks, what would I be doing? So part of me is like, I don't know if I really would want that, depending on what I'd be doing in those things. But if you're just talking about the environment, if you're just talking about all things, if I just think about the U.S. and all things considered, believe it or not, on this last trip, I would. There are some places there that I would probably, like Santa Barbara. It wouldn't be L.A., but I love the size of it.
I don't know if Santa Barbara would be a major city, but like
I don't know.
maybe San Diego?
You would say major city. I've been to San Diego. I don't.
See, I feel like you would love
San Diego's nice. I do. I like San Diego better than L.A.
Yeah.
I would agree. San Diego, just from the temperature. I mean, if you're just going based on temperature, one of the things that I liked about, and same thing with San Diego, is I don't really care that much about the beach. Like when we did one drive back to Anaheim, but we left Santa Barbara and we took a different route and we went more into I wouldn't say mountains. They're not really mountains, tall mountains, but it feels like there was part of when in the drive we were in, we're like, I feel like I'm in a small version of Colorado.
Yeah.
And so part of me would almost like, I love the fact I would not want to live I love the aspects of Colorado. Like we've gone to Denver and I love that. I don't really want to deal with the snow. Even though they say, Denver's another weird place that it's like over 300 degrees or 300 days of sun.
Yes, Denver's a
and
great
so
city.
so Denver would be an interesting. I didn't love Denver's downtown very much, to be honest with you. I got to be honest, I didn't love Denver's downtown, but Denver would be a very interesting if it didn't have you're getting dumped on snow like 3 feet of snow up all the way till May. There's a lot of things about Denver and that being close to the mountains. There's just something. It was just the sunshine, but also not hot. Like I really, the more places I've been that are mild and temperate, the less I would really want to live 24/7 in like Florida, where the humidity, or Texas, South Texas, where the humidity is there always getting you. Being out in those moderate climates, part of that is kind of pretty appealing. So I can see myself even a Mediterranean type city.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of Spanish cities that I've gone through them, but I didn't maybe spend enough time that I would be like, that's where I'd want to be. There are some German cities, Switzerland, northern Italy.
In Switzerland, it's more climate than people realize.
Yeah.
People always think of it as cold, but it's actually temperate.
Yeah. But even in Germany, I felt like the climate was very similar to here, where we lived in Germany.
I can see
There
that.
was a lot of gray days. There's a bit of rain. You get cold, a little bit of snow, not a ton. It wouldn't get real hot.
Yeah.
I felt like maybe latitudinally maybe it's about the same. I don't know.
Yeah.
But so where would you?
Um,
Is that too hard for you to pick?
I mean, if we're in the U.S., like, one city I think's underrated. I don't know. People talk about it a lot, but I'm actually surprised. For some reason, I thought this is the city you were going to say is Boston. Boston. You talk about not only New England.
I've been to Boston. Boston's great.
Boston,
Character, but there's so much to do. Like, I love Boston. But I think if it's in the U.S., just there's something in my heart that just, even this extra time I spent in Atlanta a few weeks ago, Atlanta or L.A. would be
those are your two.
Would be my two like major.
I also would probably put Nashville on my list.
Nashville's cool,
just because it's got the temperature that
it's hot.
that. It can get a little bit warm, but it's still it is going to get a little bit warmer in here. But you're giving up a little bit of that, but you're also not going to get as cold as here.
Yeah.
And so for me, like I don't mind our summers. I like them here a lot. I would be happy if our winters just never really got down below like 30 or 40.
Yeah.
To me, I'd be happy if a little couple. I don't mind a little bit of cold. It's when you get that teens.
Yeah.
And it's just like, But I mean, some people say it's the same thing in really hot days. You're not going outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Very true.
I don't know.
If less teens, I don't even care about the snow as much. Less teens, less gray.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of gray. There's something weird about the jet stream here.
Yeah.
Let's go climate.
But
hopefully
honestly,
the climate change could change the jet stream here in Ohio, and it could be a little sunnier.
Yeah, my
Right.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
Anyways, weird.
our next hot take we're talking about climate. But honestly, internationally, Barcelona would be one of my picks.
I didn't spend enough time there. I think we went through it. I've been to Madrid.
somewhere
and
in Italy, somewhere in Switzerland, or Barcelona would just
Ibiza.
be amazing. We should take a group trip.
Well, I don't know that anybody is still in this conversation except for
we
the
have
four of
gone
us.
a while.
Except for the four of us. We could cut the last half of this off and it would still be pretty fun and entertaining.
If you have just needed the company,
Yeah.
and,
There you go.
you've hung in with us.
Yeah.
If you're bored.
Yeah, somebody that was going on a long day trip left us
Yeah.
playing for their dog at home, so they didn't feel lonely.
the dog is like, why is this?
They
walk
wouldn't
so
listen
long?
to it on the road trip,
The dog
but
is like,
play it for
"Turn
your
this
dog at
off."
home.
Well, this has been unapologetically self-indulgent.
Yeah,
And-
I would agree.
Thank you for joining us. If you're still watching, and hopefully, hey, you know what? Let
this
us
conversation
know
made you better.
We
Yeah.
want to know who
Yes,
actually
you
made
know,
it to the end of this.
if this conversation
We will shout you
inspired
out
you in
by
your walk
name.
with Jesus or to look at life differently. Actually, anybody that's still watching, you, Debbie Smith, let us know what your favorite international city is that you would live in. I want to know. And drop it in the YouTube comments. Where would you live if you could live anywhere
I just
else?
want you to drop your name, first name only, if you
Yes.
actually hear this.
Yeah.
If there's anybody that
your
has
name?
listened to this point that is still no, we would just love to know your name so that we will on the next time we will shout you out and say
There's
you're
one.
the
Leave
greatest
it.
person. Give your
do it.
Instagram
Leave it
handle,
resume.
whatever you want.
We'll do it. And we can't put our names on
No.
there. Okay. All right. We will see you next week.
Hey guys, it's Russ. Thanks so much for listening. We really believe if we can get around tables instead of behind screens, if we can talk to each other instead of at each other, we can make the world better. To help us do that, here are a few things you can do to help. First, if you haven't yet, leave a review on Apple or Spotify and hit subscribe on YouTube. This helps more than you know. Also, if you have been impacted by the community out of which this podcast comes, that's X Church. Maybe you're local or you've been touched by the messages and impact across the country, even the world. I want to encourage you to support this work. A powerful life principle is to invest in the people and places that invest in you. And so I want to invite you to do that right now by going to thex.church/give. You can give a one-time small gift, a sacrificial gift, or even become a recurring partner. Together, let's keep elevating the conversation, thinking higher, loving deeper, and making the world better. Cheers.